Schools across the country are just getting back into session, but we are already getting our first report card on students across the country.
The annual Voices of Gen Z study comes from Gallup and Walton Family Foundation, which is a sponsor of NBC News. Every year, they put together a so-called Gen Z report card to try and better understand how that generation is feeling on everything from their teachers to their futures. Here to walk us through it is Stephanie Markin. She's a senior partner at Gallup. Stephanie, thanks for being with us. Let's start with how Gen Z students say they're feeling in terms of their overall well-being. What did the study find?
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. Well, we find that just under half of all Gen Z members ages 13 to 28 are what we would call thriving in their overall well-being. And unfortunately, that represents a significant decline, particularly among those ages 18 to 28, those older Gen Z members who are in a post-secondary pathway or have just recently entered the workforce. We find that 39% of those ages 18 to 28 are what we would call thriving in their overall well-being. That compares with 56% who are ages 13 to 18 in that middle and high school age range.
So thriving can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. How did you measure that? Like, what is thriving?
Yeah, so we asked respondents to imagine a ladder labeled 0 through 10, where 0 is the worst possible life, 10 is the best possible life. We asked them to rate their lives today, as well as their lives 5 years from now, to get a better sense of both their current and future outlook. In doing so, we find that those who rate their overall current and future lives as positively are what we would call thriving in their overall well-being.
And is this the same across all Gen Z students, or are we seeing some differences in age or demographics?
Age and demographics actually play a huge role in the likelihood that an individual Gen Z member is what we would call thriving in their overall well-being. As I mentioned, there's a significant gap when we look at those ages 13 to 18 as well as those who are ages 18 to 28, 17 percentage point gap in the overall percentage who are thriving in their well-being. But we also see differences by their experiences and exposure to education and training beyond high school. For those who are ages 18 to 28, those who are essentially entering the workforce or just starting a post-secondary pathway, if they've completed or enrolled in a post-secondary pathway themselves, we find that they're far more likely than their peers to be thriving in their overall well-being, which provides us a really important clue that a post-secondary pathway could actually be a really important experience to protect young people from some of the significant well-being challenges that they're facing.
Well, and let's talk about how Gen Z students are feeling if they're younger students, right? Like, what if they're in middle school or high school?
Yeah, those younger middle and high school age students, fortunately, we do see some real optimism among that generation and those younger individual Gen Z members. And we also find that they're incredibly engaged in school when compared just from 2024 to 2025. We actually measure student engagement in school across 8 distinct questions that we ask of students. And those 8 questions are really designed to understand their overall experiences in the school day, whether that be experiences with their teachers, their peers, their curriculum and content. We actually found improvements from 2024 to 2025. And yet we still see a lot of room for overall growth among these younger Gen Z members. We find that just under half say they feel as if teachers are reaching them in a way that's interesting to them from a content perspective. And we find that essentially about a third say they feel like their teachers are connecting the curriculum and content they're receiving to the real world around them. So some real opportunities still for improvement among those Gen Z members, even though they're thriving at a higher rate than their older peers.
Stephanie, can we end briefly with just the bottom line major takeaway from this year's findings, not just for Gen Z, but those around them, like their parents, like their coworkers?
Yeah, well, well-being remains a significant concern for young people. You know, we like to blame the pandemic for so many of the challenges that we face as a generation, but we saw a rising tide of sadness, anxiety, loneliness, and depression among young people, as well as adults in the U.S. and globally, long before the pandemic set in. So we really need to reach and teach young people from a much earlier age in their educational journey if we're going to help them overcome these significant well-being challenges that they're likely to continue to face far into adulthood.
All right, Stephanie Markin with all that. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.